So where do we even begin with all these different shortcut categories? What are the foundational skills for any aspiring data maestro?
Well, I think a good place to start is with navigation.
Okay.
Think of it as learning to move effortlessly through your data landscape.
All right, let's dive into those navigation shortcuts.
Okay.
What are some of the key moves?
Well, you've got your arrow keys. They're your
Yeah.
trusty steeds, obviously.
Sure.
But you can shift into high gear with control, plus an arrow key. That lets you jump to the edge of your data region instantly.
So that's way faster than scrolling through endless rows and columns.
Exactly. And here's another hidden gem.
Okay.
It's called end mode.
End mode.
Yeah, you hit the end key and then tap an arrow key and you're instantly transported to the next non-blank cell in that direction.
Oh, wow.
This is especially useful when you're dealing with massive data sets.
So no more getting lost in a sea of empty cells.
Exactly right.
I can see how this would be a game changer for anyone working with large spreadsheets,
For sure.
like financial statements, research data.
Yeah, it's like having a teleportation device for your cursor.
Mm.
And imagine combining that with Control Home to jump back to the beginning of your spreadsheet.
Okay.
You're zipping around with incredible efficiency.
Okay. I'm starting to feel the power of these shortcuts.
Good.
But navigation is just the beginning, right?
It is.
We need to be able to wrangle formulas too.
Of course, formulas are really the heart of any spreadsheet. And there are shortcuts that can make even the most complex calculations feel effortless.
All right, let's step into the realm of formula mastery.
Let's do it.
What are some of the must-know shortcuts?
Well, a really good one to start with is F2.
Okay.
This simple key instantly puts you into edit mode for the active cell, and it puts your cursor right at the end of the formula. So it's like a direct line to tweak and refine those calculations.
So no more clicking into the formula bar and fiddling around.
Exactly.
Love that.
And while we're on the topic of the formula bar,
Cool.
Control-Shift-U will be your new best friend.
Control-Shift-U.
It expands or collapses the formula bar,
Okay.
giving you a clear view of your formula or letting you focus on the data itself.
Handy.
Yeah, especially when you have those monster formulas that take up like half the screen.
Oh, yeah.
So
Absolutely.
what other formula taming shortcuts do we have?
Yeah, what else?
Well, think about copying formulas across multiple cells.
Okay.
Usually a pretty tedious process,
It is.
but the F4 key can make it a breeze. It lets you cycle through different cell referencing options with a single tap, saving you from having to manually edit each cell reference. And this is crucial for complex formulas that need to be applied across, different rows or columns.
I'm trying to visualize this in my head.
Sure.
So let's say I have a formula that calculates a percentage,
Okay.
and I need to apply it to an entire column of data.
Yeah.
F4 lets me lock certain parts of the formula so that the calculation works correctly even as the cell references change.
It's like having a smart copy paste that understands exactly what you want to achieve.
Okay.
And once you get the hang of it, you'll never go back.
I see how this level of control can really change the game,
Yeah,
especially when you're building financial models or automating calculations.
absolutely.
What else can help us become formula masters?
Well, here's one that can make you feel like an Excel wizard.
Okay.
It's Control-Shift-A.
Control-Shift-A.
Sounds intriguing, right?
Yeah, what does it do?
It instantly inserts argument names and parentheses when you're using a function in a formula.
Oh.
So instead of like remembering the exact syntax for, let's say, the SUM function,
But
you can just type SUM, hit Control-Shift-A, and Excel magically fills in the rest.
wow, it's like Excel is writing the formulas for me.
Pretty much.
That's great. I can see how this would be so helpful for learning new functions
Totally.
and just making sure that I'm using them correctly.
Absolutely. It saves time, reduces errors, and makes you feel like a true Excel pro.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, before we move on to the next category of shortcuts, I want to touch upon a concept that can be a bit tricky.
Okay.
Named ranges.
Named ranges. I've heard the term, but honestly, I haven't really explored them.
Yeah.
What are they and how can they help us?
So think of named ranges as giving nicknames to specific cells or ranges in your spreadsheet.
Okay.
So instead of referring to like A1 to A10, you might call it sales data.
Right.
This makes your formulas much more readable and easier to understand.
All right, it's like labeling your ingredients in a recipe instead of just listing coordinates on a map.
Exactly. And here's where the F3 shortcut comes into play.
Okay.
It lets you quickly paste a named range into your formula. So if you need to reference your sales data range, you just hit F3, select the name from the list, and it's inserted automatically.
Okay, I can see how that can be super helpful, especially when you're dealing with complex spreadsheets,
Yeah,
lots of different data sections. It's like having a shortcut to all the important parts of your spreadsheet.
precisely. It's all about making your work more efficient and less prone to errors.
So we've covered navigation, we've covered formulas.
We have.
What other areas of Excel can we tackle with the help of shortcuts?
Well, let's not forget about data manipulation.
Okay.
This is where things get really interesting.
Data manipulation. I'm all ears.
Okay.
What kind of shortcuts can turn us into data wrangling pros?
I'm glad you asked, and I have a real treat for you.
Oh.
Get ready for the magic of Control-E,
Okay.
the shortcut for flash fill.
Flash fill. That sounds a bit intense.
It is.
What kind of sorcery are we talking about here?
Imagine this. You have a column of names, but they're all in one cell, like first name, last name.
Okay.
And you want to split them into separate columns for first name and last name.
Right.
Traditionally, this would involve a lot of formulas or tedious manual work.
Yeah, I've been there. It's a nightmare.
But with flash fill, you simply start typing the desired output in the next column.
Okay.
And Excel magically recognizes the pattern and fills in the rest.
No way.
It's like having an AI assistant that understands your data intentions.
So like Excel is reading my mind.
Pretty much. And it goes
Well,
beyond just splitting names. It can handle dates, numbers, extractions, all sorts of data transformations. It learns from your actions and adapts to your needs.
Okay, I am officially intrigued. Flash fill sounds like a must-have tool.
It is.
For anyone who works with data regularly,
Right.
anything else that can help us unleash our inner data wranglers?
Of course, let's not forget about the classic alt equals,
Yeah.
the shortcut for the beloved AutoSum function.
AutoSum, I actually know that one.
Yeah,
It's a staple for anyone who's ever used a spreadsheet.
absolutely.
But honestly, I usually just click the button on the ribbon.
I get it, but think about how much faster it is to just hit a quick shortcut.
Okay.
You select the range of cells, you want to sum press alt equals, and boom, the total appears instantly.
Okay.
No mouse clicking, no menu navigating, just pure efficiency.
You know what? You're right. It's those little things that can really add up,
They do.
especially when you're crunching numbers all day long.
For sure.
So we've got flash fill for those mind-blowing transformations.
Right.
And we've got AutoSum for like everyday calculations.
Yeah.
What else can turn us into data wrangling masters?
Here's one that's often overlooked. It's Control F5.
Control F5.
It's the shortcut for refreshing data.
Refreshing data.
Yeah.
Why is that so important?
Well, think about it. You're working with a spreadsheet that pulls data from external sources.
Uh-huh.
Maybe it's a stock market feed or a sales database. That data is constantly changing, right? Right. Control F5 lets you update your spreadsheet with the latest information in an instant, ensuring you're always working with the most accurate figures.
Oh, I see. So no more going to the data tab and clicking the refresh button.
Exactly.
It's all about shaving off those seconds.
It is, and it's especially crucial when you're making decisions based on that data.
Right.
You want to be sure you're looking at the most up-to-date picture.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. I'm adding Control F5 to my arsenal for sure.
Good.
Being a data wrangler means staying informed.
It does.
Okay, so we've covered navigation, we've covered formulas,
Yes.
and we've covered data manipulation.
We have.
What other shortcut superpowers are out there?
Well, let's move beyond the basics and explore what I like to call power moves.
Power moves, I like the sound of that.
They're less common, but high-impact shortcuts that can really elevate your Excel game.
Okay, bring it on.
So, for example, did you know that you can create charts with just a few keystrokes?
Charts, now we're talking.
Visuals are incredibly powerful, especially when you're trying to communicate complex data.
Yeah, visuals are everything when it comes to making data understandable and persuasive.
Absolutely.
So what are these secret chart creating shortcuts?
Well, you have a couple of options.
Okay.
Alt F1 creates an embedded chart right within your worksheet.
Okay.
Based on the data you've selected, it's quick and convenient for visualizing data on the fly.
That's super handy for getting a quick visual snapshot of my data.
Exactly.
What if I want a dedicated chart on its own sheet?
Then you'll love F11.
Okay.
It creates a separate chart sheet, giving your chart more space to breathe and allowing for more customization options.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah.
No more fiddling with the insert tab and all those options.
Exactly.
I can see this being a huge time saver when I'm building reports or presentations.
It is. These shortcuts help you go from raw numbers to insightful charts in seconds.
Okay, I'm convinced chart shortcuts are definitely going on my must-learn list.
Good.
What other power moves should we be aware of?
Let's talk about macros. If you're ready to automate repetitive tasks and truly become an Excel wizard,
All right.
macros are your best friend.
Macros, I've heard the term, but honestly, they sound a bit intimidating.
They don't have to be.
Oh.
Think of macros as like little programs that record your actions in Excel and then replay them with a single click. So if you find yourself doing the same series of steps over and over, you can create a macro to do it for you automatically.
Wait, so I can teach Excel to do my boring work for me?
Pretty much.
Sign me up. How do I tap into this macro magic?
Well, Alt F8 is your gateway to the world of macros.
Okay.
It opens the macro dialog box where you can create, run, edit, or delete your macro.
Okay, I'm definitely adding macros to my to-explore list.
Good.
What other power moves can we squeeze into this deep dive?
One more.
Okay.
And it's a big one for anyone working with external data sources.
Right.
Alt F12.
Another Alt-F combo. It's got to be powerful.
It is.
What does this one do?
It opens the Power Query editor.
Power Query editor.
This is where you can connect to transform and shape data from all sorts of sources, like databases, websites, even social media feeds.
Power Query editor. I've seen that option on the Data tab.
Yeah.
But never really understood what it was for.
It's a bit of a hidden gem, but incredibly powerful.
Okay.
It lets you clean shape and combine data from multiple sources before bringing it into your spreadsheet.
So with Power Query, I can take messy data from all these different places.
Yeah.
Make it all nice and organized before even starting my analysis.
Exactly. It's like prepping your ingredients before cooking a delicious meal. Power Query makes the whole process much more efficient.
Okay.
And ensures that your final spreadsheet is based on clean, reliable data.
Okay. I'm officially intrigued. Power Query might just be the key to tackling some of those data headaches I've been putting off.
It might be.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here, from basic navigation to advanced macros and Power Query.
It's quite a lot.
I feel like I've just leveled up my Excel skills by a few notches.
That's the power of shortcuts. They can truly transform the way you work with data, making you faster, more efficient, and ultimately more insightful.
But I have to admit, it's a lot to take in.
It is.
Any tips for our listeners on how to actually start using these shortcuts in their daily lives?
Well, the key is to start small. Don't try to memorize every single shortcut at once.
Okay.
Choose one or two that really resonate with your work and make a conscious effort to use them regularly.
That makes sense. It's like building muscle memory.
Exactly.
Once you get comfortable with those, you can add more to your repertoire.
Absolutely. And remember, it's not about being a shortcut encyclopedia.
Okay.
It's about understanding the logic behind them and choosing the ones that fit your workflow.
Okay, great advice. I'm feeling inspired to ditch my mouse and become a keyboard commanding data maestro.
Good.
What other shortcut secrets are you hiding up your sleeve?
Oh, I've got plenty more.
Let's dive into some more specific examples in part 2 of this deep dive.
Yeah. Sounds good. So let's shift gears a bit and talk about those times when you're working with a truly massive spreadsheet.
Okay.
You know, hundreds, maybe even thousands of rows and columns.
Okay.
Remember those navigation shortcuts we talked about?
Absolutely. Control arrow key and end mode have already become my go-to moves for getting around quickly.
Good. Well, there's another shortcut that can be incredibly helpful in those situations. It's control period.
Control period? I don't think I've ever used that combination before. What does it do?
It lets you jump between the edges of a data range.
Okay.
So from the top left corner to the bottom right, or vice versa.
So if I'm working on a budget spreadsheet with, let's say, a year's worth of expenses, control period will zip me straight to the last entry. No more endless scrolling.
Exactly. It's a really efficient way to get like a quick overview of your data.
Okay.
Or quickly navigate to, you know, those key areas you need to work on.
Okay, that makes sense. It's like a supercharged version of control arrow key.
Right.
Specifically designed for those giant data sets. Anything else I should know about navigating these spreadsheet behemoths?
Well, don't underestimate the power of the page up and page down keys.
Oh.
They might seem basic, but they're incredibly efficient for scrolling through large chunks of data.
Right.
And here's a bonus tip.
Okay.
If you hold down the control key while using them, you can actually jump between worksheets in your workbook.
Oh, that's handy. No more clicking through those worksheet tabs at the bottom of the screen.
Right.
I can definitely see how those simple shortcuts can really speed up my workflow.
Absolutely. And remember, it's all about finding the shortcuts that feel natural and intuitive for you.
Right.
What works for one person might not work for another.
Okay.
So it's important to experiment and find what fits your style.
All right, I'm ready to move beyond navigation for a bit.
Okay.
Can we circle back to formulas?
Sure.
I'm always looking for ways to streamline those calculations
Yeah.
and avoid unnecessary errors.
Of course, formulas are really the backbone of any powerful spreadsheet.
For sure.
And we already talked about F4 for cycling through cell references.
Right.
But there's another shortcut that can save you a lot of manual typing.
Okay.
It's control apostrophe.
Control apostrophe. That's a new one for me. What does that combination do?
It instantly copies the value from the cell above the active cell into the current cell or the formula bar. So it's incredibly useful when you need to repeat a value or use it as part of a calculation without retyping it.
So let's say I have a list of products and their prices.
Right.
And I need to calculate the sales tax for each item.
Yeah.
Instead of retyping each price, I can just use control apostrophe to grab it directly from the cell above.
Exactly. It's a small shortcut, but it can save a lot of time.
Right.
And reduce the risk of typos, especially when you're working with repetitive data.
Okay. I'm adding that one to my list. What else can help us level up our formula game?
Let's talk about functions.
Okay.
They can be incredibly powerful, but sometimes it's hard to remember the exact syntax for each one. But don't worry, there's a shortcut that can help Control-Shift-A.
Control-Shift-A. Okay, lay it on me. What does this magical combination do?
It automatically inserts the argument names and parentheses for the function you're using.
Okay.
So instead of trying to remember the exact structure for, say, the VLOOKUP function, you can just type VLOOKUP, hit Control-Shift-A, and Excel will fill in the rest for you.
Wow, it's like having a built-in syntax guide?
Pretty much.
I can definitely see how that would be helpful, especially for those less commonly used functions.
For sure.
And it would also make it much easier to learn new functions.
Exactly. And it reduces the chance of making, those frustrating syntax errors that can bring your calculations to a screeching halt.
Right.
Speaking of making things easier, remember those named ranges we talked about earlier?
Oh, right. The nicknames for cells and ranges?
Yeah.
They definitely make formulas easier to read and understand.
They do. And did you know that there's a dedicated shortcut for working with named ranges?
No, I didn't.
It's the F3 key.
F3 for named ranges. I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
It's pretty simple, actually. When you're working on a formula and need to reference a named range, just press F3 and a list of all your named ranges will pop up.
Okay.
Select the one you need, and it's automatically inserted into your formula.
So no more trying to remember the exact cell references.
Right.
Or scrolling through my spreadsheet to find the right range.
Exactly.
That's a huge time saver.
It is. It's all about streamlining your workflow and making it as efficient as possible.
All right, I'm feeling pretty confident with my formula skills now. What other areas of Excel mastery can we unlock with shortcuts?
Let's move on to data manipulation.
Okay.
We've already talked about flash fill and autosum.
Right.
But there's a whole world of shortcuts out there for cleaning, transforming, and analyzing your data.
Data manipulation sounds right up my alley. What kind of tricks do you have up your sleeve?
Okay, let's start with pivot tables.
Okay.
They're incredibly powerful for summarizing and analyzing large data sets. But sometimes the process of creating them can feel a bit clunky.
I agree. I know pivot tables can be incredibly helpful.
Yes.
But I often get bogged down in the menus and options.
I understand. Well, there's a shortcut that can make the whole process much smoother.
Okay.
It's Alt-NV.
Alt-NV.
Okay. This simple combination instantly creates a pivot table based on your selected data.
Wait, seriously? Just like that?
That's right.
No more navigating through multiple menus.
It's like magic. And once you have your pivot table set up, there are other shortcuts that can help you navigate through it and manipulate the data.
Ooh, pivot table shortcuts.
Yeah.
I'm all ears. What kind of moves can we pull off?
So for instance, you can use the plus and minus keys on your numeric keypad to expand and collapse fields within the pivot table.
Okay.
This allows you to drill down into specific categories or roll them up for a higher level view.
So I can easily explore different levels of detail within my data.
Exactly.
That's incredibly helpful for uncovering insights and patterns.
It is, and if you want to filter your pivot table, you can use Alt-down arrow to quickly access the filter drop-down menu for any selected field.
Okay, these pivot table shortcuts are definitely changing the game for me. I'm starting to feel like I can actually tame those large data sets and extract meaningful information from them.
That's great.
What other data manipulation tricks do you have in store?
Well, let's not forget about sorting and filtering.
Okay.
These are essential skills for working with any kind of data.
Right.
And thankfully, there are shortcuts that can make them much more efficient.
All right, let's talk sorting and filtering shortcuts.
Okay.
I'm ready to become a data organizing ninja.
Okay. Well, Alt-S will bring up the sort dialog box.
Okay.
Where you can choose your sorting criteria.
Right.
But if you just need a quick ascending sort on a single column, you can use Alt-SA.
Okay.
And for a quick descending sort, it's Alt-A-S-D.
So I can bypass that whole sort dialog box if I just need a quick sort.
Exactly.
That's very efficient.
It is. And for filtering, Control-Shift-L will apply filters to your data headers. This lets you quickly narrow down your view to just the information you need.
Okay, I'm feeling pretty good about my sorting and filtering skills now. It's amazing how these shortcuts can turn tasks that used to feel tedious into quick, effortless actions.
It's all about working smarter, not harder.
Right.
And remember, these shortcuts are just a starting point.
Sure.
There are dozens more out there waiting to be discovered.
That's what I love about this deep dive. We're uncovering a whole new world of possibilities within Excel.
Absolutely.
So we've covered navigation formulas, pivot tables, sorting and filtering.
We have.
What other areas can we explore with the help of shortcuts?
Well, let's shift gears and dive into the realm of formatting and presentation.
Ooh, formatting.
After all, even the most insightful data is useless if it's not presented in a clear and compelling way.
That's where I can really let my creative side shine. But I have to admit, I sometimes find myself getting lost in the maze of menus and options. Are there shortcuts that can help me streamline the process?
You bet. Let's start with some basic text formatting shortcuts. Control-B for bold, Control-I for italics, and Control-U for under... These are classics for a reason.
Okay, those are pretty standard. I know those ones. What about some of the more advanced formatting options?
Well, if you need to apply multiple formatting options at once, Control-1 will open the Format Cells dialog box,
Right.
where you can access a whole range of possibilities.
Right, the Format Cells dialog box, that's where the real formatting magic happens. But it can be a bit overwhelming with all those tabs and options.
You can be, but here's a tip. Once you're in the Format Cells dialog box, you can actually navigate between the different tabs and options using the arrow keys on your keyboard.
Oh, okay.
And you can use the tab key to move between fields within a tab.
So I can use my keyboard to navigate through the Format Cells dialog box. That makes it much less intimidating. It's like having a secret map to all those formatting treasures. What other formatting tricks should we know about?
Let's talk about number formatting.
Okay.
This is especially important when you're dealing with financial data or, any numbers that need to be displayed in a specific way.
Right, things like adding currency symbols, percentages, or decimal places. It can be a real pain to format those manually, especially when you have a lot of data to work with.
It can, but with shortcuts, it becomes a breeze.
Oh.
Control-Shift-1 will apply the number format with 2 decimal places, a thousand separator, and a minus sign for negative values.
Okay, that's perfect for financial data. Are there shortcuts for other common number formats as well?
Absolutely. Control-Shift-2 applies the time format, Control-Shift-3 for the date format, and Control-Shift-4 gives you the currency format.
That's amazing. I can format all my numbers with just a few keystrokes, no more digging through endless menus and submenus. This is a real game changer.
It's all about finding those little efficiencies that can add up to big time savings in the long run.
Speaking of efficiencies, what about shortcuts for things like alignment and text wrapping? Those are formatting tasks I find myself doing quite often.
You're in luck. Control-L for left align, Control-E for center line, and Control-R for right align.
Okay.
Those are your go-to shortcuts for making sure your data is neatly aligned.
All right, those are easy enough to remember. But sometimes I need to adjust the vertical alignment within a cell as well. Are there shortcuts for that too?
Of course, Alt-H-A-T will align your text to the top of the cell.
Cool.
Alt-H-A-M for the middle, and Alt-H-A-B aligns it to the bottom.
Those are quite specific, but I can see how they would be really helpful when you're trying to get everything perfectly aligned.
Yeah.
What about those times when you have a long text entry that needs to be contained within a single cell?
Yes, text wrapping. Alt-H-W will activate text wrapping, making sure all your content fits neatly within the cell.
Okay.
And if you ever need to merge multiple cells into one, Alt-H-M-M will do the trick.
Wow, these shortcuts are like having a secret weapon for formatting and presentation. My spreadsheets are going to look so much more professional now.
That's the goal. Remember, it's not just about the data itself.
Right.
It's also about how you present it.
All right. I'm feeling pretty confident with my formatting skills now.
Mm-hmm.
What other areas of Excel can we explore with shortcuts?
Well, we've covered a lot of ground already, but there's still so much more to discover.
I can't wait. Bring on part 3. We're back for the final part of our Excel shortcut deep dive. It's amazing how much ground we've covered already, from navigation and formulas to data manipulation and formatting.
It is, and in this last part, we're going to delve into some features that allow you to really personalize your Excel experience
Okay.
and unlock even more efficiency.
Personalization sounds intriguing. What kind of features are we talking about?
Well, let's start with some shortcuts that can streamline your workflow when you're dealing with multiple workbooks or windows. Have you ever found yourself constantly clicking back and forth between different Excel files?
All the time,
Yeah.
especially when I'm working on multiple projects or trying to compare different data sets.
Well, there's a simple shortcut that can make that process much smoother. Control Tab.
Right.
It lets you cycle through all your open Excel windows, just like switching tabs in a web browser.
So no more minimizing and maximizing windows or clicking through the taskbar.
Exactly.
That's definitely going to save me some clicks.
And if you need to arrange those windows side by side for easy comparison, Alt-WA will activate the Arrange All command.
Wow, so I can see all my open workbooks at once. That's incredibly helpful for spotting patterns and discrepancies.
Exactly. It's like having a panoramic view of your data landscape now. What if you want to view different parts of the same spreadsheet simultaneously?
I've definitely run into that situation before. Sometimes I need to see my raw data in one view and my analysis in another, but constantly scrolling back and forth can be a real pain.
I get it. Well, Control-N will create a new window for your current workbook, allowing you to see different sections of the spreadsheet at the same time. No more endless scrolling.
Okay, that's a real game changer. I mean, when I'm done with one of those windows, I can just hit Control-W to close it, right?
Exactly. Just remember to save your changes before closing.
Right. Safety first. So we've talked about managing multiple workbooks and windows. What other personalization options can we explore?
Let's talk about customizing the quick access toolbar. Have you ever noticed that little toolbar that sits above the ribbon?
I see it, but to be honest, I've never really explored its full potential.
It's often overlooked, but it can be a real productivity booster.
Right.
It's the perfect place to put shortcuts for commands you use all the time. To add a command to the quick access toolbar, just right-click on it and choose Add to Quick Access Toolbar.
Okay.
You can also customize it through the File tab.
So I can essentially create my own custom menu with all my favorite commands. That's amazing. No more digging through menus and submenus.
And you can even reorder the commands on the Quick Access Toolbar by dragging and dropping them.
Okay, I'm definitely going to spend some time setting up my quick access toolbar. It's like having a personalized control panel for all my most used Excel features. What other areas of Excel can we customize?
Have you ever felt overwhelmed by the sheer number of options in the ribbon?
Absolutely. There are so many tabs and commands, it's hard to know where to even start. I often find myself searching for the same commands over and over again.
Well, you can actually customize the ribbon to make it more streamlined and efficient for your specific workflow. You can hide tabs or commands you never use, and you can create custom tabs or groups to put your most frequently used commands front and center.
Wait, I can actually change the layout of the ribbon itself? That's incredible.
To customize the ribbon, just go to the File tab, choose Options, and then select Customize Ribbon. From there, you can add, remove, or reorder tabs and commands to your heart's content.
Wow, this is a real game changer. It's like being able to design my own personalized Excel dashboard. What other personalization tricks are there?
Did you know that you can create your own custom keyboard shortcuts for commands that don't already have them?
Seriously, I can make my own shortcuts. That's amazing. How does that work?
It's pretty easy. Just go back to the File tab, choose Options, then Customize Ribbon, and click on Customize at the bottom of the window, then select Keyboard Shortcuts.
Okay, I'm following along. What happens next?
You'll see a list of all the available commands in Excel. You can browse through the list and assign your own key combinations to any command you want. Just be careful not to choose a combination that's already being used for something else.
Right? Wouldn't want to accidentally mess up an existing shortcut. This is incredible. It's like having the power to redesign Excel to fit my exact needs.
It's all about making Excel work for you, not the other way around.
I'm feeling so empowered. It's like we've unlocked a whole new level of control and efficiency.
That's the beauty of shortcuts and customization options.
Yeah.
They give you the power to shape your Excel experience and make it truly your own.
Any final words of wisdom for our listeners who are eager to take their Excel skills to the next level?
The most important thing is to embrace the learning process. Don't be afraid to experiment and try new things. The more you explore, the more you'll discover and the more efficient you'll become.
That's great advice. It's like we've been given a map to this vast, unexplored territory within Excel. It's exciting to think about all the possibilities.
Exactly. And remember, it's not just about speed.
Okay.
Shortcuts and customization can also help you reduce errors, improve accuracy, and ultimately make better decisions based on your data.
So true. It's like we've graduated from data novices to true Excel masters.
Well, that's what we like to hear. Remember, the power of Excel is at your fingertips, literally.
Hard, everyone. It's time to close our spreadsheets for now, but hopefully this deep dive has sparked a renewed sense of curiosity and excitement about Excel. Now go forth and conquer those spreadsheets.